Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Arizona Cardinals versus the Los Angeles Rams is our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
What's going on, Jeremiah? It is the NFL playoffs finally. We get to cover it here on the show. We're going to talk about the Rams and the Cardinals. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to talk more about it.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching us live or watching our replay video or listening to our podcast, we just want to say from the bottom of our heart and from our entire team, thank you so much for joining us all these years and to joining us as we go into the next millennium. And now that our video is a huge part of our broadcast and our podcast is a huge part of our broadcast. So thank you so much for sharing and telling all your friends and family about 100 yards of football. Well, Logan, we are excited as we get down to these final games in this season. The Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams. What do the fan bases have to look forward to this game?
It's going to be a great matchup. This is the third showdown between the Rams and the Cardinals. We all know they were battling out in the NFC West. The Rams had 12-5 record, the Cardinals 11-6, so pretty much even for the entire season. Like I said, this is the rubber match, right? The best of three. And the big one here is the winner moves on to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next Sunday. So we'll see who gets the win in this one. But it's going to be a great game. I'm going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams first because they have a very solid team with a bunch of veterans. But they are hurting a little bit because they do have some guys in their secondary like Taylor Rapp and Jordan Fuller who are probably not going to be able to play tonight's game. So that might be hurting their secondary. And that, as we all know, the Cardinals have a very solid wide receiving core. Now, talking about the roster for the Rams, they do have some good pieces. Like I said, they've got the veteran Matt Stafford leading their team. He threw for close to 5,000 yards this season with a 67% completion percentage, 17 interceptions, 41 touchdowns. Not too bad. I would like to see the interceptions go down a little bit. I know towards the end of the season also he got a little bit too turnover happy. So you got to hope that he was able to, he's going to be able to break that streak if you're a Rams fan. He's going to be able to come out here and have a great performance for, probably the best team he's ever been on in his tenured career coming out of Georgia. So hopefully he can have a good game tonight for the quarterback. And he'll need to if the Rams want to get the win in this one. As for the running back room, they've got Sony Michel, another former Georgia Bulldog, and Darrell Henderson as their kind of two-headed monster who take the primary bulk of snaps at the running back position. Michelle had 845 yards. Henderson has 688. They both scored about 4 or 5 touchdowns. So they're going to be there mostly to chew the clock, to get maybe a big run perhaps. They only average about 50 yards per game apiece. So you get if they want to have a good game, I would say they need to have about 100 between the two of them. Keep it in the normal there and see what they can do. The receiving core. Now, this is where the Rams really shine because they've got a ton of great talent. They've got Odell Beckham Jr., who they got midway through the season, and he's done really well for the Rams so far. 305 yards in only 8 games, so he hasn't had the bulk, but he does have 5 touchdowns throughout those 8 games, so that's something to watch out for. Robert Woods, of course, he's had a good year. Tyler Higbee, the tight end, looks solid, 560 yards for a tight end with 5 scores for him. Van Jefferson, they're not sure if he's going to be able to play tonight. He might be out. But if he does, then he's a big factor leading the team. He's got second on team in yards and receptions, and also touchdowns. He's got 6 touchdowns, 802 yards, and 50 catches. But we all know the one that the Cardinals are going to be targeting tonight, and that is probably the best receiver in the NFL this season, Cooper Kupp. Now, Jeremiah, I want you to brace yourself because this guy had a tremendous year. 145 catches on the year, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns. So you can't get much better than that, I think. So if there's no doubt, if you're the Cardinals, you plan around him. And if the Rams want to be creative, right, you got to, obviously he's your primary target. But like I mentioned, you've got Higbee, you got Beckham, potentially Jefferson. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play tonight. Higbee, Woods, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got some other guys you can throw to, but definitely you got to look for Kupp to see what he can do for the offense and really help you out again. Like I mentioned, the secondary is going to be hurt. Jordan Fuller, Taylor Rapp, and a few other guys are out, and that's going to be hurtful because that is your secondary. Those are your safeties. They both lead the team in tackles. They also had a few sacks, a few pass defended. So that's going to be able to hurt. You're going to lose some ball hawking, at least for this first game if they can advance. But you do have Aaron Donald, of course, which is always a great factor to have. Had 12.5 sacks this year with 84 total tackles. Always a menace to look at. Leonard Floyd, the linebacker, had 9.5 sacks with 70 tackles. But also watch out for, of course, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, Ashawn Robinson, Ernest Jones, some of those other guys to kind of step up and hopefully have a big game. Also, Von Miller, the veteran, hoping to get another ring. So we'll see how motivated he'll be to get this win here tonight. But overall, I like this Rams team. They've been kind of up and down throughout the year. I know the 12-5 record doesn't show it, but they had a streak of they won some, then they would lose a couple in a row, and then they had the year winning a good majority of their games, but they did lose the final game of their season in overtime. And so they had, it is a little bit of a roller coaster season, but overall a solid regular season. We'll see how they can do in the postseason. Now for the Cardinals, like I said, pretty much the same story in terms of how their records went. Like I said, they were 11-6, so overall not bad. But they are going to be they've lost a few guys. Also, James Conner, we're not sure if he's going to play. We're not sure also if DeAndre Hopkins, we're not sure if he's going to be able to be in the game. So that's going to be a big key. If he's able to get in the game, that's great. If not, they're going to lose a big weapon again. But they got Kyler Murray, who's had another good year, 3,878 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, so not too bad for him either. Both these guys have been sacked about 30 times each. So I think the O-line, whichever O-line is a little bit more dominant, is going to have a better day today. That's going to be who I think might get the win. The running game, like I said, nothing too special. James Conner, if he does play, he leads the team in rushing. Chase Edmonds is right behind him, though, with about 150 yards behind. Edmonds has a total of 2 touchdowns, but Conner has 15. And I know the 750 yards and 15 touchdowns just doesn't really make a lot of sense in a way, but that just lets you know that whenever they get to the end zone, they usually give him the ball, and he'll usually punch it in 9 times out of 10. So we'll see if James Conner is able to get the ball game. Kyler Murray, as we all know, great dual threat quarterback. So we'll see how much he's going to be able to run for tonight. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year for him. The receiving core, Christian Kirk, A.J. Green, Zach Ertz, maybe DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see. He's been out. But, I mean, it's a stellar receiving core, right? Kirk leads the team in yards with 982 and also 5 touchdowns. Hopkins, we'll see if he plays. If not, it's gonna hurt because he's a veteran. He's probably one of the top receivers in the game when he is healthy. He has missed a couple of games this year, but he does lead the team in touchdowns with 8. Zach Ertz, a great tight end, 574 yards. A.J. Green, we'll see what he can do, 848. So, I mean, they've got a lot of veterans on this team. And also Rondale Moore, the young guy of the group, right? He's had his moments too this season. So, I mean, a very talented, very experienced receiving core. Just injuries are really hurting this team a little bit right now. As for the defense, I mean, they got Jalen Thompson, leads the team in tackles. Jordan Hicks right behind him. Isaiah Simmons, the very talented young man. Buda Baker, of course. Byron Murphy. They've got a lot of really good guys. But watch out for Chandler Jones. Led the team in sacks with 10.5. But other than that, they were pretty quiet when it came to getting sacks this season. So, I mean, the only guy on their team, besides Jones, who had more than 10 sacks, was Marcus Gold with 11. Other than that, they made a pretty steep drop-off. Only guys have 4, 3, and then a little bit less. So it's really a 2-man show with maybe someone else getting in there. So we'll see if they can get some sacks here tonight. Also, passes defended. Byron Murphy leads the team with 12. He's also got most interceptions on team with 4. So watch out for him to pick off Matt Stafford. But overall, I like the teams here. I like the Rams. I like the Cardinals. They're evenly matched like they've been pretty much the entire season, right? But also I like to look at the kicking games in these important, crucial matchups because this is where, the special teams, the kicking, the punting, all of that, it might not be the most fun thing to watch in the world. But whenever it comes to the playoffs, Jeremiah, this is where they make their money. If they can hit their field goals, if they can hit their extra points, they usually get taken on next season. But if not, they might be on another team. So going back to the Rams, their special teams here, they have for their kicker, they have Matt Gay. He's been 32 of 34 on field goals this year. That's good for 94%. For extra points, pretty much perfect, 48 of 49. So overall, very solid season. He only had misses from 40 to 49 and 1 from 50 plus. So very good season for him. As for the Cardinals, they have Matt Prater, their longtime kicker. He was 30 of 37 this year, only 81%. So something to watch out for there. He did miss 2 of them from inside the 30, 2 of them from inside the 40, and 3 from outside the 50. So it's not a guarantee that he will always make those medium to long distance field goals. So we'll see how that comes into effect. As for extra points, pretty much the same thing as Gay. except he was 47-49, so pretty much on the money there. But just watch out because, I mean, I know Prater's veteran. He's been around for a long time. Sometimes the regular season stats don't reflect in the postseason, but I'm just here reading off the numbers, and it says that he's just not had the best season this year. But if I had to go with a winner in this one, it's going to be a close matchup, I think, overall. And I was racking my brain on this the whole day, trying to figure out who I think is going to win and which team's going to advance to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week. And I think overall, it's in my gut, right? I just got a feeling. I got the Cardinals win this one in a close ball game. I'm going to go with Arizona 24 and the Rams 20. We'll see how it plays out. It could go either way. Like I said, this is the rubber match, but I got Arizona getting the very slight win in this one and moving on.
Okay. Yeah, I can totally see that. So let me ask you this, like with these two teams getting to where they're at, who are their biggest opponents coming up after this? Who do you think that they'll face after?
Yeah, so they do. Whoever wins this game is going to go on to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
and that is that's going to be pretty tough because I know the Buccaneers, they've lost a few of their pieces on offense. Right, they're banged up, but they looked great yesterday. They looked really solid in their win yesterday. So I mean, if they can get past the Rams or vice versa, if the Rams can pass the Cardinals, then you got to face one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So it don't get any easier, and that's the fun of the playoffs with all this. So we're still waiting to see how all these are going to shake out. But man, it's already been a crazy playoff so far. We've seen some teams who we thought were going to move far getting knocked out in the first round, and this is the final first round matchup here before they go on to face their other opponents. So we'll see how it fares out. But like I said, I think the Cardinals just got the slight edge of this one. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a big game, and they're going to move on to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers next Sunday.
Awesome. Yeah. So everybody watching or listening over on our podcast, tell us, do you agree? What do you think the final score will be? And what are you most looking forward to for this game? And if this game has already been played and you're listening to this posthumously, you know the score. How did we do? What did you think about our coverage? And what else would you love to know about these two teams? We want to know. So either drop something into the comments and let us know, or if you're listening to the podcast, go over and give us a follow, a subscribe, and throw us a review over there. And it doesn't have to be a huge review. You can go over to Spotify and you can simply follow us and give us a 5-star rating. And if you go over to our Apple podcast, you can actually give us a little more in-depth review. You can give us a 5-star rating, and you can drop us in and you can write us a long diatribe about what you love about football, the things that you love to see different, and what kind of coverage you'd love to see us do. Or you can just be like, I love the show. I told my friends and family about it. Peace, y'all. And that's also amazing, and we would love to hear from you in that way. So definitely go and give us a review over on our podcast. We appreciate it so much. We now have over 600 episodes of our podcast that are ready for listening anytime that you like, including amazing interviews with classic players, history specials where we break down the awesome teams of the past, interviews with current players, in also other sports broadcasters. And then we also do game previews, recruiting specials. We also do retrospectives on the show, on the games that were really big that you loved. And then we have great previews of what's going to be coming up. So that's something that we love. And one of the things I love every Monday morning to do here with our host, Logan Landers, and in the evening with our whole team, Mr. Vincent Turner, 12-time NFL veteran Bobby Butler, and our coaching expert Kevin Bull Jones. So we just love coming to you every single week, and we appreciate all of the word of mouth sharing you've been doing with our show, where you go and you tell all your friends and family just by word of mouth, hey, have you been listening to 100 Yards of Football? And if they have, they're going to be like, yeah, I love that show, and you guys can chat about it. And if not, then you get to introduce them to this amazing show and be like, hey, yeah, you just pull up your app and wherever you listen to podcasts, or pull up your YouTube or your Facebook and just check it out. 100 Yards of Football. We're right there for you every single week with amazing new shows. So for the entire team here, I am the producer, Jeremiah Long, and you've been watching and listening to our host, Logan Landers, break down the Arizona Cardinals versus the LA Rams in this NFL preview game. We're going to be right back with another